I have a case that I'm working on where I got an email today from an attorney. Let me just read it to you. It says, Jim, I need to request a further favor on this matter. For some reason, I failed to calendar this for follow-up with the client and have not yet had a conversation with them about resolving this matter. I apologize for my oversight. May I have one further adjournment to give me an opportunity to move the ball? Now, this request is easy. Answer is, of course you can. And the question that arises for new lawyers is, should I be doing favors for my adversary? Because obviously, in a litigation matter especially, they are your adversaries. And your obligation is to protect the rights of your client, and their obligation is the rights to protect their client. But there's also a certain degree of courtesies that are extended within the bar to make our lives easier. So on requests like this, generally, you want to extend courtesies as much as possible. Now, there are some exceptions to that. And the first one I would say is it depends on what venue you practice in. Now, I practice in upstate New York, and courtesies like this are granted all the time. There may be parts of the country, parts of the state where that's not the practice. And you have to get a feel for what that local practice is to make sure you're complying with it. But I would say that probably in most jurisdictions, a request like this is going to be expected to be answered in the affirmative. Now, the other exception that I would say is sometimes lawyers really abuse this. Not very many, but there are lawyers who, they're calling up for the 5th, the 6th, the 7th extension. At some point, if that's happening and the case is not moving forward, you have to simply say, look, I've been reasonable, I think. I've been giving you adjournments and trying to, make your life easier, but we don't seem to be advancing the ball at all here. And so this is going to be the last adjournment that I'm going to agree to. In addition to that, if you're adjourning a case many times, you're going to find the court is going to step in and say, what's the issue here? Most courts understand, we're all busy. Adjournments are expected. They're part of the practice. But if they're being abused, the court would step in and you're going to look bad. So you have to put an end to it that way. The other exception would be the nature of the request. And the test that I use is what this lawyer is asking me to do, does it in any way affect the substantive rights of my client? Now, this one's easy, as I said. In no way would be granting this extension in any way affect the substantive rights of my client. And so that's easy. But there are times, and in my practice, I have had this occasion where a lawyer is asking me to do something, and I have concluded that that would affect the substantive rights of my client. Now you're asking me to be unethical. You're asking me to do something that is not protecting the rights of my client, adversely affecting the rights of my client, and asking me to commit malpractice. So in that case, I simply say, look, my general position on adjournments or whatever it is to try to make everybody's life easier if I can do so, and I'd be happy to grant you any kind of courtesies. But what you're asking me to do really is affecting the rights of my client, and I just can't do that. Anyone who would ask me to do something that would adversely affect my client's rights, I have no respect for them to begin with. So I have no problem saying no, and they shouldn't be surprised that I am saying no. But at the same time, if it's a reasonable request, you don't want to be the lawyer known in the community for not granting extensions. You need to get along with your colleagues, and you can do that and still be a zealous advocate for your client.